Hardleg and his friends, they're gonna play a lot of games. It's Legsplay.
And welcome to Legsplay.
Yeah.
Hardleg Joe here with the
Stoic Steve. The
And
Stoic
also,
of Steves.
No one else. It's just me and
Just
Steve
us.
here, just in a basement, just chilling out,
Just chilling.
just doing what bros do. We're playing some Passpartout,
Passpartout.
the spooky artist.
Because Halloween isn't over for the game.
Yeah,
It may be over for reality, but
Yeah,
I mean, and you're gonna get this like what, 2 weeks after we record it. So
something like that.
yeah,
I mean, either way,
you're gonna have a real
it's-
late Halloween
It's
going
still
on.
clearly, it goes into like the 7th of November for some reason instead of ending after Halloween. But yeah, so this is just a super late November Halloween episode. And
sweet.
I played this once before by myself. Maybe you saw it. I play it on stream occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd invite Steve here because Steve, if you haven't seen, he does the Legsplay animated. He's a much more artisty kind of artist. So let's see how he does with a mouse.
So we
Instead of just go ahead and do a new career.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. I beat the game before, and then I started a new career where I tried to see if I could get different people to like my paintings. Like, I specifically went into cubism and tried to draw everything with sharp angles to see if it got people different. And not really.
it seems kind of strange that you'd be able to beat the game of art. That'd just be like an endless thing.
Well, that's the weird thing is when I won, I got this ending that was basically like he knew his audience and he knew how to make them. You can also use the scroll wheel to make it bigger or smaller.
Can you adjust the color settings?
Nope, it's just those colors.
Just those colors.
Those
Working with a
colors-
limited palette.
Yep.
Alright.
A very
Let's see.
limited palette. Yeah, and I'm not sure, do you know anything about this game as far as like how it judges stuff?
I assumed it was just random.
No, it's actually apparently a lot of effort went into the algorithm that determines like how they look at paintings, to the point that there's been sort of like professional design like theses written on like how it judges color and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I saw the first time we did this, just like everyone who came along had a completely different like view on art.
Yeah. Well, that's that you have.
I assume they just had
It's there's
different ways of judging.
There's 3 different types of potential people who buy stuff from you, and they each have their own artistic tastes. So that's what I was saying. I when I went through, there were the people that I got were basically the people who were supposed to like pop art. Everything I did that had like bright, vibrant colors that was clean and clear, they like that. I never got the interest of like the punk guy who wants stuff with a lot of energy and passion, or the what was it? There's a whole bunch. I don't know. I couldn't quite. You can kind of tell from their personalities, like what they like. And I haven't looked into the game. I'm still kind of experimenting with it. But I think there's like different progression, because you go from here, you go to other. You draw in other places. Like you get a little studio place. And then from there, I went to working basically like as a graphic designer. There was a time when I was in like a big...
different careers.
Yeah, it was like a big high-rise, and the people who came in were specifically businessmen and stuff, or people looking for like designs that they could use for like campaign rallies. There's like a thinly veiled Trump guy. Although I think this was made long before he was actually a serious contender for president. But
He was always serious.
Either way, I think there's other places I could have gone, because the ending I had was like, he made pop art, but he never made anything that he was truly passionate about. That's why I restarted. So it'll be interesting to see if yours gets other stuff for me. I know at least partially, based on like the feedback you get, there are people who will, like they judge your paintings on like how long you take on them. So, like, the amount of time, they sort of equate with the amount of effort that you take.
Yeah.
Like, there's ones that are, like, the more colors you use. Some people like less colors. Some people like more motion. Some people like more rigid lines. It'll be interesting to see once we get all out there. The hardest thing for me, at least, going from, like, painting with Photoshop to this, is the lack of an undo button.
Yeah, there's that.
Sort of like you paint something, it's like, no, go back. I didn't want to. I messed up, and it's like real paint. You just
Yeah,
gotta
it's
kinda
like real
go
paint.
over it.
Yeah. I was never too much of a painter. Yeah, I never actually took a proper painting class, I don't think. But yeah, just the concept of like painting over the same spot. Like, I'd always I tried painting a few times. But it was always so annoying, like having to wait for the paint to dry before going over it. It's like, but I
Yeah.
want to fix it now.
I want to go over it now. Yeah, I remember. We did a. What was it? We both took AP art classes together.
Yeah.
I guess we could tell people that doesn't give any sort of information about.
But,
yeah, we were both artsy types, at least in high school. I never really pursued it in college because can't really. An art degree is kind of a joke. I'm pretty sure.
It depends what sort of art you go into.
Yeah. I kind of always felt like, you know, it's
Like at least around here, most of the art is that what do you call it? Modern art, where it's abstract and like it's basically just garbage with a title and like a sentence. Oh, this piece is about the Holocaust, but it's just a few few bars put together.
it's just it's about the messiness of internal living, of modern life.
Like, they say it's artsy, but there's really no merit to any of it.
I go back and forth.
Like,
I've seen people make...
I mean, there is legitimate, modern art out there, where it's like, they actually put effort into it. They have like really interesting
Ideas.
processes.
Yeah, or processes. It's technically impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that they spent so much time making something so technically impressive kind of makes the point that they were trying to make.
My main gripe is that there's just so few colors to work with. You can't really get any kind of good gradient going on.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But that's kind of the thing. It's like, what do you want to do with that within that limited color palette?
Yeah.
Same thing. They give you very limited tools, and then like later on they add more tools. But the tool, even later on, the tools get pretty simplified. I said I'm kind of tempted to look up how they judge on everything, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. You're doing a lot of these little like
Stippling.
Yeah. Which is something that like I didn't consider.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to get some kind of gradient going on, or at least the illusion of a gradient.
So I always went more with like cell shading and stuff like that because that's just kind of what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Or I made stuff with like a lot of solid lines. Later on, you get sort of like a spray can tool. I use that. I remember that was I did an MS Paint drawing for AP Art where I basically used the spray can tool to do a whole bunch of shading and gradients and stuff like that. And you can actually make some pretty nice things using that. It just takes forever.
Yeah, good old MS Paint. Never goes out of style.
Kind of. I mean, they what was
I mean,
it?
It
no
always
longer
has some.
support it.
It always has some ironic, application.
Yeah. Well, no, that was not that long ago. They announced that like they're no longer supporting it, and future versions of Windows will no longer come with MS Paint.
Gotta download it separately.
A sad state of affairs.
Yes.
I guess I got Photoshop. I would have assumed that they would just like maybe update Photoshop. Or I'm sorry, update MS Paint to sort of like add more Photoshop elements into it. Hey Rocco, Kitty's here to watch art.
I know. MS Paint is just the competition to Photoshop. I think I'm done with this. This feels pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Just a nice little tree.
Yeah. Well, you can't take too long because you do have bills to pay and mouths to feed. You gotta give it a title.
I mean, I'm pretty sure our guy does not have a mouth.
That's the more important. He has a mouth. A little frog mouth. Alright, you got your first customer. Sorry. A tree. A qualo tree?
Oh, sorry. Was actually.
Yeah, you're at a weird place.
I'm not,
or a weird angle to type.
I'm not a great not a great typist, to be honest. I always mispress shit.
To be fair, we trading off, or you got another idea you want to do?
Oh, hey, do you want to trade off?
I'm up for either way. Skillful Craft, 182. You could sell it, or you can click the haggle button to like try to get more out of him.
I guess haggle's yellow.
Yep. I don't know if it went down or up because your thing's too big.
192.
Yeah, you only got $90 left, so you probably want to take it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you've already seen me do one, so we'll trade off, but we'll do 2 for 1. You can do a couple.
Oh, look at this horse head goo.
He's a little goosty goo.
Yeah, remember that time we tried making comics?
That time,
those
several years where we were making comics? Yes. It didn't work very well.
Was it hand-drawn and then put in Photoshop, I think?
Yeah.
Just poorly photo manipulated.
Yeah, for the people who aren't aware, I've mentioned this in like my Q&As and stuff, but those don't get nearly as many views. Well, nothing gets any views anymore now that the Legsplays have their own channel. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, I right out of high school, I didn't go to college. I decided I was going to make a comic, and we spent what 4 years working on that. 3 years. It was a while, and it did not work out.
Yeah.
And then I still want to make the comic. I completely rewrote it from the ground up, and whereas before I kind of had a vague idea, now I have it all planned out. But I wanted to hire like an actual like professional artist, someone who has, because you're a good artist, but you don't have any like comics experience.
Yeah, no,
you've never been like
no professional
a comic
background.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as I know, even like casually, you don't draw like a whole lot of comics or anything, unless I'm mistaken.
No, I don't talk about what I do draw. So.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot I don't talk about. I'm a private individual.
Yep. That is why his face is a robot instead of looking like his actual face.
I thought that was just because, you know, it's Quirky Robot. We got too many normal face people.
I don't know. I mean,
it'd be more interesting if we had more like non-human characters.
Yeah, I mean, if there were more non-human characters, then I'd be like, oh yeah, that's just Steve decided to be quirky like 3 other people. But no, it's everyone went faces except for you and me.
And I mean, Fish. Well, technically, you do have a face. You just don't use it normally.
Yeah.
There's also Fish Criminal, which we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Who has just a fish with a hat on it.
Yeah. Well, kind of. That was the thing. He what was it? He wanted to have a face, but he didn't get back to us with like pictures and stuff when we were getting the artist, and so they just made a fish that looked like a criminal, and then later he does have an actual like face. We just didn't use it, and then he stopped really caring.
Yep. And we stopped caring about it. So.
Yep. As he moved to another state, so even if we wanted to have him back, it wouldn't work. And then he also had a kid that he didn't plan to have.
Wow.
And that slows down a whole lot of stuff.
Yes. Yes, that would do it.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for that.
That is one way.
There's one way to stop being a YouTuber really quick is to have a kid. At least unless you're one of those already famous YouTubers. I get it. It's a
It's a jack-o'-lantern.
It is full of glows. Although I'm kind of surprised you went with the sort of like generic face. I was thinking maybe you'd go with something a little more detailed.
I'm
a little more.
Still getting a little bit used to this this brush.
Yeah.
I don't usually do was it mouse.
You have an actual tablet.
I have an actual tablet. You know, there's some people who are pretty damn good with a mouse.
Oh yeah, I'd like to think I'm pretty nice.
I remember when we were making the comic though, I've having to do a lot just with the mouse because I didn't have a tablet back then.
Yeah, that was pretty much how I started learning Photoshop. I took a very brief course about it in high school, but back then it was really new, and that my teacher couldn't give me like any meaningful advice on like how to do Photoshop stuff.
Yeah.
So most of it I learned from like you telling me like shortcuts and stuff like that. Because that was, you would draw the pictures and then we would go into Photoshop and I would cut out like the characters from the background so that you could paint them on different layers.
Back when the magic wand wasn't quite as good.
Yeah. Maybe even now the magic wand isn't all that good. I mean, I still use those same cards. I'm not sure if you've ever shown up for one of my art streams where I make like the Yu-Gi-Oh sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
But I basically use the same skill where I get all the cards that I want to cut out and use in the art, and I go in and with the polygon wand tool and cut them out individually, just zooming in with a series of straight lines. They call me Jack. Wait, what did you name that?
Kin.
Ken?
Yeah.
Oh, ha ha ha. Okay, my turn. Let me try one of these.
He didn't care for it.
Ooh.
Alright. Hardleg's turn to draw.
There's 2 kinds of booze, and you used the wrong one. I need to just move this over here. Move this. I'm going to distinguish myself from Steve by going landscape.
I have landscape mode.
Yep. And I'm also going to go big red. This fella has no energy. Boring.
Boring.
Yeah, I don't know how to impress that guy.
Well, you just gotta use a lot of contrast, I assume.
I don't know, it's either contrast. I think it might have something to do with like how fast you move across, like if you can make lines and stuff like that. I probably should have been using this time to think about what I want to draw, but I did not. I was hoping if I got big and red, I would kind of think
Big and red.
Aha! Originally! $99. $109.
Alright, that works.
Oh, okay. Sure, you got it, bro. So yeah, let me just make that smaller. Fuck it. This is like the erase tool, but with fundamental differences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just painting on one layer.
Yeah. Let me sharp, drastic lines. Big, angry.
What's your subject you're gonna do?
Oh, I'm gonna call this,
Is it just abstract, or you have a...
I have an idea.
Okay.
I'm just calling it feelings.
Ah, it's angry eyes.
Yeah. Angry eyes are my specialty. That's like half of what I drew in high school.
Good old angry anime eyes.
Yep. Angry Dragon Ball Z eyes. That's how I started to learn how to draw.
Yeah, everybody loved DBZ.
Not
Like,
everyone.
I think like all of our good friends were in anime club.
All right. What contrasts with red?
Yellow.
Yellow?
Or green if you want to go super contrast.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just be like green. I mean, green is Super Saiyan eyes. I don't know why, but they are.
Mm.
And we'll get like a little
bit of blue.
A little bit of that going in there. That looks terrible, but that's fine. It's for the punk guy. He likes terrible things. What can I say?
See if we can impress him.
Yeah, let's go big. Big yellow. Oh, ha, ha. Just exciting stuff. What did you start drawing out with, Steve, when you were first learning to draw? I assume there was some anime.
Oh, you mean like what inspired me to draw?
Yeah.
I mean, technically.
Or how did you learn to draw drawing?
Honestly, just mostly self-taught.
Ah.
I did look up tutorials and such. Online. I used to be really into DeviantArt. Just learning art through that. Of course, you know, there wasn't much else back then to find tutorials on. But yeah, I don't know. I always felt just learning art through school just didn't have, or it wasn't telling me what I needed to know.
Yeah, it was just telling you other stuff.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It was hard to find like good teaching for that, or they show you the very basics, but I don't know. No, it's just a lot of just deep understanding that you couldn't get through school.
I should make his eyes. Yeah. Well, no, that's what I was saying. Is like I was mostly self-taught too, but when I self-taught by printing out pictures of Dragon Ball Z characters, and I started just like trying to replicate them. Yeah. I traced them at first, and then I got to the point of like drawing them freehand, and then I started taking the elements that I recognized over and over again, and basically making like original characters in the same sort of style. I wasn't sure if there's anything. I seem to remember you drawing reboot characters when we were in like middle school.
Yeah, I mean, I remember drawing a lot of DPZ back then, a few other anime. Like, before then, like, I remember when I was really little, me and my brother would draw a lot.
Comment in the comments if you draw.
Yeah, like, most of our games, most of our drawings were actually games back when I was a child.
Huh.
We'd play a lot of, 2D games, like, I don't know if you played Day of the Tentacle, but like point and click sort of things.
Yeah, I've seen parts of it.
Yeah, so it was something where you're like given a house, and you know you gotta click on different items. Like so me and my brother, we'd have like these big old sheets of construction paper. On one side we have the interior of a house, and the other side we'd have rooms that you could go into, and things that you could open. And so you know, we'd draw out a character, and then we'd sort of pretend going around the house, and you know, like whoever designed the house would have a story and stuff that you'd have to go through and pick up, and people you could talk to. And you could just go in and out of the rooms by flipping the paper over.
I think I'm pretty good with that. I'm pretty good with that.
That looks edgy. That seems like something a punk would buy.
Yeah, let's see. Buy this, you punk.
TNK.
Idiot.
Yeah.
You'll buy anything edgy. There you go. I'll trade it back over to Steve.
All right.
Have a dandy old time. I mean, it looks from a distance, you know, a little far away. It doesn't look half bad.
As a strong contrast.
It definitely stands out among itself.
Bad colors.
Yeah, see, George is the guy who likes sort of like the pop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most easy to please. Like, if you make something that just sort of like, by the laws of design, looks really nice and has decent, like, complementing colors, he will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think someone else said, like, if you put in, like, every color... Why are you I put so much passion into that!
It's more angst.
Angst is passion if you're a teenager.
Yeah. I mean, there's another punk person back there, and maybe they'll have a different opinion.
That's what I'm saying. If you put a lot of, like, effort into it, if you sit there and, like, draw something nice and neat, they always say the same stuff. It doesn't have passion. It lacks energy. You drew something, but you didn't paint something.
New planet discovered. Composition is 90% cookies.
Oh, delicious.
Get on it, NASA.
This is a big question. If a planet was made of cookies, would you...
No
Boring.
energy? Well, I know. Energy.
I don't understand. I want to know what the algorithm wants. This is like being a YouTuber all over again. But yeah, I actually, what was it? I used... Monsieur, this tingles my facial hairs. More.
More?
More. One more.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I always go at least 2. Try to. Sometimes 3 if they go down. You've unlocked a new tool. Hey.
New tool? Oh, spray paint.
Yep. You can
that
use
should
the
be
spray
nice.
paint if you want.
Get some nice clouds going.
Some nice fluffy little happy clouds. Remember, you can use the middle arrow to increase the size.
Yep.
So you don't have to go all the way down there every time.
No. Your middle wheel's a little bit different from mine at home, so it's
is it too many?
The feel of it.
Well, there's this little button right above it that like unlocks it, and then it spins more freely if that's what you're looking for.
It's a bit. It's fine. It's fine.
But no, you're talking about making those. I remember in middle school actually, I used to do something kind of similar. I would make these weird big like. I'd take a piece of paper and I'd make these big charts where you're on like a hoverboard.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have a start and then like an end goal, and I'd be like, this is the hoverboard. Like you travel in straight lines, and you'd go, and then there'd be like an obstacle, or there'd be like a thing that I'd draw like a wedge and be like, you bounce off the wedge, but you have to go up or down or left or right. Which one do you choose? And you'd reflect off, and depending on like what I drew, you would have like, oh, you reflect into the lava and you melt. Or you reflect into this, and then you continue up, you come to another choice. And I would make the little games like that. It's kind of weird because I don't know what it was based off of or like what I thought I was doing. It's kind of weird like trying to explain it nowadays. It sounds almost like I was designing a game, except I had no concept that I was designing a game at the time.
Just having fun.
To be a kid where you could just sit down with a pencil and paper and sort of entertain yourself.
Yeah, I could do that now.
Yeah.
Just, you know, other shit to do.
It's just I don't have to anymore, so now I can I can enjoy myself just slightly more. It's weird. A lot of my subjects tend to be people. You do a lot more landscapes.
Yeah.
I think I only did
What
one
can I
landscape.
say? I'm just not a people person.
Yep.
I'm like Hitler, mostly doing, you know, things
I
without
can't draw
people.
faces.
No, I mean I can. I just, just landscapes and just anything without people is a lot more relaxing.
Ah.
You can just free flow.
I never really liked nature, so landscapes didn't appeal to me.
It's aesthetic. It's relaxing.
Yep. I like cityscapes a lot more. Those are cool. Should maybe try a cityscape after this. Although it's got a bunch of edges, I'm not sure how well you can do freehand.
How edgy I am.
Super edge.
There we go.
Ah, combining them. Yeah, that was another thing I didn't really do, which I probably should have.
It's a nice little gradient.
But
going
when I worked with this, I'd only use one tool per painting essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if I committed to doing something with the spray can, I'd pretty much just paint with the spray can.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of painting something normally and then putting a spray on top of it never occurred to me.
Yeah, get a little bit of contrast that way.
Yep. That was one of my big things, and that's what the AP art teacher always got mad at me for, because I'd always like... I'd like to
do mixed media.
Yeah. Not just mixed media, but it's like, I know how to draw stuff with a pencil really well, and like a pen.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, why don't you use Conte? I'm like, but that's just a pencil, but with slightly more gray. It's like, oh, why don't you use chalk? I'm like, I don't think in colors. Everything is going to be black and white anyway. I like black and white. Nice contrast. Once you get colors, everything gets confusing.
Yeah, alright. This feels done.
A nice little blue and purple mountain range. A nice little blue and purple mountain range. Relax.
Nope.
It's fine. The spelling errors make it seem cooler.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Relation peak.
Whatever. Typing. Fuck
Oh,
it.
did you try to do relaxation?
I tried to do relaxation.
Oh, okay.
But,
I mean, relation peak is still words.
Yeah.
It's still... True art, based of skill. How did you do that?
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Well,
if you make him mad, they go down. He'll come back.
I should have just gone twice.
Yeah.
My bad. Let's see. Cityscape.
Seriously.
They'll be back.
They always come back. You think you're the only
I'm
one
not
who
some
likes
whore
art?
you can just take art from. I have passion.
I'm trying to think, what made yours so much more passionate?
You know, a lot more detail.
I mean, I've sat down and put a lot of detail into it. I don't know. Maybe your strokes are just more...
nice color mix. Ooh. Hey, fuck you, guy.
I don't know what it is about seeing, like, the feedback on this. I'm normally so good with criticism, but these... There we go. Boop.
That'll do.
Okay.
Yeah!
Yeah! You don't sound like a punk. To be like, yeah! Relation peak. So there's purples and blues. Maybe he likes neon colors.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try something with neon going in here.
Nice little mix of colors. Yeah.
Black on black. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember too, what was it? The one time I tried to do watercolors. I've tried to do them before. I always hated watercolors. Of all the paintings, I found those the most annoying to work with.
Yeah, well, working with them can be a pain, but you can get really nice results if you do it well.
Yeah. I don't know, I just always preferred the sort of, Like, if I was going to do something with paint, I like oil paints, even if you have to wait for a little bit. Just sort of, there's more texture to it. You can kind of glob stuff on there.
Yeah.
Either that or just regular acrylic paints. This is more like coloring just with paint. But, the one time in AP Art, I'm seriously going to try some watercolor. Let's do it. And I decided I wanted to do a snowy landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you this right now, listening out there. If you ever have to paint something, especially in watercolor, do not go with something that is mostly white. Because, you can't really go that much whiter than the thing it's on. Everything's going to look slightly less white than the canvas.
Yeah.
And also, if you do like I did and spill a drop of purple on it and it runs down the canvas, you're never getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about watercolors. Once you mess something up, you gotta essentially mess up the rest of the piece just to like even it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. As something that's, it annoys me about art, but like I understand. It's just like a lot of pieces just feel messy to me. There's where detail could be, is just sort of simplified like messiness.
Yeah. That's why art never, like, traditional art never appealed to me nearly as much as sort of like these I'm trying to think of what the word would be. I want to say like pop, but maybe not necessarily, but sort of like line art.
Mm-hmm.
Like a very detailed drawing of like a spooky skeleton or like a haunted graveyard. It's always going to intrigue me more than like this sort of like we're just starting over.
Yeah.
Cities are harder than I thought.
I went for a bad skyline.
Yeah.
Put a little bit more effort into that one.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more. There's just something about nice, crisp lines with like an outline and some like cell shading. It just appeals to me more than like a very well-made gradient that maybe has some stylization to it.
Yeah. Inks don't get as much love as they should.
At least in the art community.
Yeah.
So you see those people all over the time like, my art teacher hates anime.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched
To be fair, anime peaked in the 80s. Like, what we got now is mostly crap.
Yeah, as far as the art style goes. Now
and story, God. There's so much just animu. Just a big relationship, like, nonsense.
I've heard some good stuff about, what was it, like Steins Gate and...
New hat!
Huh,
It's
I didn't know
frog,
you
I
unlocked
think.
hats. I didn't know there were hats in this game.
No.
Weird. But yeah, I've heard some of the more psychological stuff.
Yeah,
What
there's...
was it? Psychopaths and Steins Gate. I hear those brought up a lot as sort of like a more thinking man's anime.
Yeah. I don't know.
And of course, if you don't want relationship stuff, if you just want blood and guts, there's always Goblin Slayer. The edgy man's anime.
Yeah, I don't think I've really gotten into much anime recently.
Yeah.
I still watch occasional cartoons. I don't know if you've seen any of the later Venture Brothers stuff.
Nope. I pretty much stopped watching anything that wasn't on YouTube for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube here too.
It's pretty. I can't pretty much any show I can't keep up with. Everything I sort of absorb in like either little bite-sized 10-minute chunks or like big long hour chunks. But those have to be things that don't have like a visual thing to it. Like I'll listen to like a podcast or I'll listen to someone like talk at length about something, but
Yeah, like there's a lot of just movies I don't watch. I just look up clips for. It's like I don't have the interest to sit down and watch an hour. But if you give me the highlights, I'll watch the highlights.
I don't even do that. I just go to Wikipedia and read the synopsis.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like a lot of times like the visuals aren't nearly as interesting as like the storytelling elements behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really interested to see like, okay, what did they do with the plot? What did they do with the characters? But actually seeing that character development play out just doesn't interest me.
Yeah. I find a lot of movies are just made for a few scenes.
Yeah.
And so, like, just look up the few scenes that it was made to be cool about.
Yeah, especially if you get like an action movie, it's basically like when they design it, they make set pieces and then they make the movie around getting to those set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That looks really nice, Steve.
Yes. Much better city background this time.
Yep. See, I really like that. I would probably pay a little bit of money for that. Not a lot because I don't really have anywhere to
money.
hang stuff. And
Because
also I don't have
dental
money.
bills.
Yeah, because massive dental bills. Man, that's I forget. Did you have you read any of the Legend of Lefty stuff?
I think I started to read the first chapter, didn't get too far.
Yeah. I really need to go back and rewrite the first. If anyone doesn't know, The Legend of Lefty is my the book I'm working on. It's actually going to be like a what's it called, like an audio drama or whatever. But it's an original project I've been working on for a while. I've been writing it for more than a year now. And yeah, going back, I need to rewrite a lot of it. But in general, I'm finding that my style is sort of like, it's written to be from the perspective of like someone telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, a lot of it reads almost like someone giving a synopsis about a story instead of actually like fully telling the story. Like, it's very much like, here's this important historical figure. I'm going to go over all the important stuff that happened to him. And you don't need to hear about his like daily life. You don't need like a big internal monologue. You don't need to be a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but personally, I do prefer that kind of thing sometimes. It's like, you know, I don't need to spend a bunch of time reading all the little details. Just tell me the overarching story. Tell me what actually happens.
That's pretty much what I'm going for. It's just one of those things that, like, I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of like what people want to hear. I'm writing the kind of story I would like to read. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be reading it or trying to, especially like, I think, in an audio portion, having someone tell it to you, it would be, I could sit there and listen to that. But trying to read it is just sort of like, what am I reading? Cliff Notes?
Yeah, I can't really connect to it on an emotional level as well.
Yeah.
A bit darker. I kind of wish there were a bit more control over the density of the.
Yeah, the spray can's really kind of meh.
It's
especially like when you make it smaller, then it like almost fills in instantly. It feels like, and then if you make it too big, it's just sort of like lightly dusting everywhere, and it takes forever to fill anything in.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels too strong. Sometimes it's not strong enough. All right.
I don't know if that's what you were going for, but I'm really getting a Great Gatsby kind of vibe from that.
Yeah.
Like the book cover, just without the green light and the little eye, like sort of doing stuff. Not Gatsby, but close. Yeah, that's one of those things I remember. Now I can do
Joe's
one.
turn
Let me try
again.
one with the spray can.
I should try something more edgy. I've been too relaxed.
I've been too relaxed. I could punch you in the shin. Would that help?
No.
Okay.
You know me, always tired.
Always tired. Comment in the comments if you're always tired. Boring, says Steve.
Boring.
I always do a skeleton. That's just like sort of my default is to do a skull. Maybe I should try something a little bit more.
Try a skull flower.
What? A skull flower?
Yeah. See the contrast of.
Fresh like a morning baguette. 264.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah,
hey,
there we go.
There we go.
It's a fresh old piece.
Calm City has sold for €297. Okay. Is this white?
That's white spray can.
Okay.
I usually like to start with the regular paintbrush, sort of block out the shapes, and then go in with the spray can for gradient.
Yeah, I'm gonna do entirely spray can.
Ah.
and just see what I can do. Just see what comes up. Although start over. I forgot. That's one of those things I always have to relearn when I go back. Like, spray can. One of those things I have to relearn is like, oh yeah, if you want to paint, you have to start with like the bottom layer of whatever you're doing first, and then sort of paint on top of it.
Yeah.
I'm used to sort of the opposite, where you can like outline whatever you want to do, and then you know, sort of
Just
like
fill
fill
it
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one, it's like, oh, if I want something to be behind the skull, I have to paint that first, and then paint the skull on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, when I'm going for my little flower skull, it's going to be like in the middle of a plant. So I need to draw the plant first.
Yeah. It's always weird going from art programs where you can use multiple layers.
Yeah.
To you know, just drawing with a single layer.
But that's the challenge. Kind of makes it more fun.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I think that's what kind of made this game what it is. That like everyone seems to have played it. All the famous people at least. All the people that count have played it. I'm one of those people now. Yeah, I really like how they translate the movements too. I feel like that's something they didn't have to do.
Translate the movements.
You could see the guy back there like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, looks good.
Let's see. And then we're going.
Seems like he's like getting into it because he's, you know, technically working on a much larger canvas than we are.
Yeah, just moving tiny little hand movements. Let's get this. He's going to praise the sun. He's skull in flower. Or I guess it should be the moon, shouldn't it?
Ah.
Let's go ahead and get a nice moon up here. That's terrible.
You know, just add a little bit of blue into the moon.
A little blue into the moon?
Yeah.
Blue, 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 blue moon. I forgot I was in the... Okay.
Spray can only.
Spray can only!
Yeah. I do kind of want to get one of those spray painters for model making.
Model? Do you make?
Yeah. Well,
oh yeah,
those,
made models.
I forget what they call those. No, the models I have that I've painted, I've just used a brush to do. Can't get a lot of good gradient going on with that. Tends to lump up the paint a bit more than you would with a spray. That's a good looking moon. I like it.
It's a nice little moon. It's got some blue on it.
Need some.
It's got some other things. Some things that are not
need
so
some
blue.
skull shape going on for that flower.
Oh yeah. When I go back in with the blackness.
Yeah. Takes a little while to get the depth with a spray can.
Yeah, but the effect actually comes off looking pretty nice, I feel like. Got this nice kind of like shading effect, and then you can sort of go back and shape things up just a little bit. I don't know what it is about skulls. I don't draw skulls that much normally. Skulls are not within my repertoire, but for whatever reason, whenever I had to make something in MS Paint, it's just what I defaulted to. I guess it just feels like it's easier to make skulls with this than an actual like face.
Yeah.
Because I think whatever I'm going to make is inherently going to look kind of creepy. So might as well make it something that's supposed to be creepy. That's for a second I was like, maybe I should make a vampire.
Yeah, that is one funny thing. Like, it's like whenever I'm being serious, I'm always drawing like characters and shit. But if I'm relaxing, it's always like abstract or landscapes or something.
Just having a decent time. Yeah, I was gonna say on the next episode, one thing I always see recommended in my feed, and I don't think I've ever watched any of them, is people like, we're gonna paint Pokemon without knowing what they look like.
Ah, yes.
So I was like, I got a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards behind me.
Yeah, just take a name and
Take a
come
name.
up with the picture. What the picture might
See
look
what
like.
Steve comes up with, or give you the actual picture and just see how well you can
How
translate
well I can
it.
replicate it.
Stylized, of course.
A unicorn rat with bat wings eating a nut.
Oh, he's looking at, oh, Shape Snatch, yes. You've got to draw Shape Snatch. He's a meme.
He's a
No! Why did I
he's
do
a
this?
robotic cyclops with a green hat
Yeah,
and a
no,
bow tie.
He is the bow tie. If
Okay.
you read the flavor text about it.
Bow tie with a horrible power. It attacks an opponent by controlling others.
Yeah, so the bow tie is the monster, and the thing he's attached to is just some guy.
Just some guy.
As rank 10 would say, he whose shape has been snatched.
Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman.
He's a little cutie buster.
I do wonder, like, what it would be like if Yu-Gi-Oh were a purely American card game. What sorts of names they'd come up with then? It's always interesting because, like, you know, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, they're Japanese originally, and they have to translate it and come up with a, like, somewhat competent sounding name.
Oh, yeah. Well, America's really kind of hidden. See, the interesting thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is America actually does get to make their own cards.
Yep.
So there are subsets of cards that come out that are American only. And some of them are kind of neat, but some of them are really weird. They have a whole archetype now called Danger! Question mark. They're all based off like cryptids, so it's like Danger Bigfoot, Danger Jackalope, Danger Mothman, and of course everyone's like Lamp. Just gonna finish.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yep. And of course they had a trap called Danger Zone, because why wouldn't they?
Danger Zone.
They make a lot of puns and stuff like that. They have, what was it? Burning Abyss was one. Those were based off demons from the Divine Comedy.
Mm.
But then they also had, what are they called? Ultimate Athletes that are based off of, like, football and sports.
Yeah.
There's UAs, they called them. Like, why, America? Why, Konami of America? I don't understand you. This skull turned out terrible.
It's not terribly skull-like.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, it's gonna be hard getting the bone detail in with a spray can.
Yep. With only the spray can.
Yeah. I do like the blue added in.
Yep. I should add in some more blue.
Use that for the shadows.
No, just blue.
No.
Just blue on him. I just blew myself a little bit.
Doho.
Oh ho.
Fellatio. Self-fellatio judge.
And then one more thing.
A little bit of yellow.
A little bit of yellow. Just sort of.
Yeah. It's a bit too strong against the black. You gotta go over it with the black a little bit.
Just a little polymerization. The moon is fertilizing him. Don't you understand?
Oh, you mean pollinization, not polymerization.
The same thing, whatever.
I know, but yeah, it's more of a Yu-Gi-Oh than what you said.
My life is Yu-Gi-Oh now, Steve.
I know. It makes me sad, but it's the facts.
There we go. So I think that's it for this episode. Next time on Legsplay, we see if polymerization sells. Nope, the ghost doesn't like it.
That ghost doesn't like anything.
Nope. And next time, Steve drawing Shape Snatch.
Shape Snatch?
Snake, yeah.
What's Shape Snatch? Oh, that thing.
Skillful craft! Skillful!
341.
Yeah. See, they appreciate the
want
dark
more?
blue. Yeah, of course I want more. No, again, he went lower. Go higher.
Again?
Oh, not... Okay, X, never mind.
Right.
Fuck him.
You'll come back.
He'll be back!
Comment in the comments if you comment in the comments. Comment in the comments if you comment in the comments. But if you like these guys,